Live here. Hi. I have no idea if anybody's out there, but I am going to assume that people are or logging on now, and I'm just going to start chatting. Um, and we'll wait a couple of more minutes. So hold on a second. All right. Well, welcome to a very special edition of Transform Your Life. I am Virginia Oman, and this special presentation is entitled Festive Resilience, your toolkit for emotional wellness during family celebrations. And don't we all know they're coming right around the corner? So thank you for tuning in to this. And we're going to start in just a minute. I do have a bit of housekeeping just before we begin. And that is to tell you that I've saved time at the end of this presentation for question and answers. And you can submit them to me at the end of the presentation through chat. However, I've been told that unless you are already a subscriber to my Transform Your Life channel on YouTube, the chat function might not work for you. Easily to rectify. All you need to do is right under your screen, there is a subscribe button. All you need to do is click on that. If you don't see a subscribe button, what you'll need to do is exit out of full screen view. Then the subscribe button will become visible. You can click on it and then come back to full screen, full view, if you'd like. Okay? And that way you'll be ready for utilizing the chat function at the end. It might take about 5 minutes after you subscribed for that chat function to start to operate, but you really won't need it until the end because I'm not going to be monitoring the chat during this presentation. I can't do that and do the presentation at the same time. So just hold on and know that save your questions till the end. There'll be time at the end for you to ask them. And what we'll do is I'll tell you to submit your questions and then I'll take them in order when I go and check the chat at the end. Okay? I'm hoping this all makes sense. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Virginia Oman, and I am a licensed mental health therapist of over 30 years. I'm also an author, a life coach, and a nationally certified personal trainer and wellness coach. And for the last 6 years of my practicing what I do, I have chosen when I work with my clients, my mental health clients, and also my life coaching clients and Transform Your Life clients, I combine all three of these areas, and it has had astounding results. Really. I chose to do this because I've always been a firm believer in the mind-body or body-mind connection. And the results have really been astounding. Clients are really able to truly transform their lives, and in a relatively short amount of time. And then they go on to report they live with more joy and more fulfillment than ever before. So it's really been remarkable, and I love what I do. Okay, again, the title of this presentation, Festive Resilience, your toolkit for emotional wellness during family celebrations. My knowledge about this topic, wow. Well, it's not only from my professional career as a mental health therapist, but mostly it's from my own personal journey of being on this planet for over 70 years and attending many family holiday gatherings. And boy, do I wish I had known many of the things that you're going to be learning about today. I wish I had had those in my toolkit in my 20s and 30s and 40s. So these are all tried and true techniques. And I know what I'm talking about because I've been in the position of going to family gatherings and having them not feel so good or so joyous. So I wanted to give this presentation. I actually put it together pretty quickly recently, but I thought it's such an important topic. This time of year, we are so prone to having emotions run high, and therefore we're at a high risk of having our feelings get hurt. It can also lead to a higher degree of anxiety, depression, and cause family gatherings to be ripe for emotional conflict or drama. And I bet you there are some people here listening that can really relate to this. This time of year, historically, for decades, my clients talk about their real hesitancy to go home or to go visit family. In fact, many of them dread doing this. So I thought, what about doing this presentation to give some suggestions and ideas so that you're better equipped and you can have a better chance of navigating the rough waters of family visits, family gatherings. I want to start by saying, we always have been, but we still are. We're always in search of having that Norman Rockwell painting kind of family gathering, right? You know the one I'm talking about? It's the one where everyone's around the table, dad's carving the turkey, everyone's getting along, everybody's smiling and happy. Everyone treats each other with joy and kindness is exchanged throughout the entire visit. But unfortunately, many of us know that that's not the case. In fact, I'd have to say that that is not the case at all for the majority of people on the planet. But for some of us, it's especially not the case. And it can be a time of high emotions and feelings being hurt. So I want to try to get you better prepared so that you can actually enjoy a family holiday visit. I want to start by having us talk about and understand what I mean by the words emotional triggers, okay? How they work and why the holiday season can cause us to be so extra vulnerable to them. What is an emotional trigger? Basically, all it is a person, an event, a memory that sparks an intense emotion inside us. Usually one that causes increased anxiety, fear, anger, hurt, or maybe all four. If something or someone triggers us, we are likely to feel feelings of anxiety, hurt, rejection during family gatherings. And it can increase likelihood of extra emotional drama happening inside us, but also outside of us with heated arguments and conflict within the family. Triggers, they develop from pairing a person or event with something that was very hurtful to you, usually starting way back in childhood, that has stayed in your memory bank all these decades and hasn't been healed. Hurtful events that can cause triggers can also result in causing us to have negative self-statements, statements about ourselves that are so subconscious, we don't even know they're there, but they've been there for decades. And we don't even realize they're going through our thought bank and our feeling bank all the time, especially when we get triggered. I do a lot of work with clients to help them be able to identify what these are and heal not only the trigger, but turn some of these negative self-statements into something totally different that's empowering for them. So here's some examples of common negative self-statements. Here's one: I'm not good enough. Another one that's very common: I'm not important and I don't belong. Three very common ones. There's a whole list of them, but those are three of the most common ones. And realize that we all have negative self-statements inside us, unfortunately, starting as early as 1 year of age. And a lot of them can be kind of set as early as 6 years old. And then they stay in there unless they're healed. I want to suggest to you that it is really worth your time, investment, and money to work with a mental health therapist to help not only identify these negative self-beliefs, but to work on healing the triggers that are still hurtful inside you and still causing interference with your happiness in life. It can be well worth it. When we are triggered, one or more of these negative self-statements will be felt internally. And I can tell you, because I've been there, believe me, this presentation is actually very autobiographical. So you can be a 40-year-old successful adult and you go to a family gathering and maybe the person that is most likely to trigger you triggers you right in the middle of dinner, says something hurtful, and you get triggered. And right within a split second, it's amazing how you can go from this feeling of being a confident, successful, perfectly fine human being to all of a sudden, you can just feel your body shrinking up. Your self-concept, your self-esteem just kind of withers. And you feel yourself kind of constricting down and getting smaller and smaller. And all of a sudden, there you are in the chair, same chair, but you're 5 years old. And you're feeling exactly how you did at age 5 when you got hurt. It's incredible the power that can take you right there when these triggers aren't healed. And when this happens, and when the ensuing negative self statements start because of it, a good internal intervention is really needed, or the gathering, the experience that you'll have at the gathering is not going to be a very enjoyable one. So that's when these tips and techniques can come into being very useful. So I want to talk about the first key element to understand when we're talking about tips and techniques. And you might want to note some of these down because they could become very useful to you. You know, I'd have to guess that the majority of you out there, whoever is tuned in, is probably chosen to tune in because you might be about to embark on going to a family gathering. And maybe you can relate to a lot of what I've talked about. So if you want to grab a piece of paper and a pen, please do so, because some of these things can be very helpful. Like I said, I wish I had known a lot of them beforehand. It could have been a lot different for me. I could have actually enjoyed so many of the family gatherings that weren't enjoyable for me. Okay, the first key technique is you need to have established boundaries. And hopefully you've been working on getting those to be established and more firm and healthy. If not, use the upcoming opportunity at this gathering to start establishing some. So important. Good planning ahead of time can be a lifesaver. And I'll talk, if we have time at the end, I can tell you some personal stories about how I implemented these, and it made just all the difference in the world. If you are a person that likes the holidays, but part of you does not look forward to going to these family gatherings because there might be certain members of the family or certain people there that you feel triggered by, then plan ahead, okay? Number one, plan to make your visit there on the short side. And it is really worth its weight in gold if you book a room for yourself and your partner or your friend or just yourself at a nearby B&B or hotel. And we'll talk about how to do this coming up, because a lot of you are thinking, oh my God, that's way too over the top for me. I couldn't possibly do that. But I'm telling you, I learned the hard way that it makes such a difference, because we all need space, especially if we're going into an area that has some minefields emotionally for us. It's important that we have our own space and freedom to come and go. So, some people, when I first suggest this to them, they say, oh my God, especially women, I could never do that. That would seem so rude. Well, if you feel it's too late for you to do that for this holiday, please remember it for next holiday visits, that you have that option. They'll have plenty of time. And here's the thing about boundary setting. Each of us has been given the birthright to live a life of fulfillment and happiness. And it is our responsibility for making sure that we are in environments where that is supported. It's our responsibility. We are grown adults, And we absolutely have the right to choose not to be in an environment that is emotionally toxic for us. All right? You have perfect right not to do that, to stay away from those kinds of places. If, however, it's Christmas or it's Thanksgiving or whatever, if you still feel a need or a desire to go, then do preparation and know some of these tips and techniques ahead of time to create the best situation so that you'll have the greatest likelihood of having a decent time, maybe even an enjoyable time. And after all, that's the whole point, right? Of these holiday gatherings. Festive, fun, joyful. Yeah, they can be. Okay, so limiting your time there, making sure you have your own space separate of that particular environment, such as a B&B or a hotel room nearby. And I want to say this can be brought up extremely gently, politely, and respectfully by just saying to your host in a calm voice, "We are so looking forward to coming. And I have decided," or you can say, "We have decided that we're going to be more comfortable if we have our own space. And so we have already booked. We have booked a hotel room right near your house or a B&B. And we're going to be more comfortable there. But thank you for your hospitality. And again, we are looking forward to seeing you so very much." That is all you need to say. That's all the explanation that is needed. If you get a response from the host of them looking confused, or they start to try to engage you, to pressure you to stay there, to change your mind, all you need to do is repeat that last statement you just made calmly and with a smile on your face. That always helps. Again, I've decided I'm going to be more comfortable. And so if I have my own space, I've booked a room real close by and I'm going to be more comfortable there. Thank you for the invitation to stay over, but this will work better for me. And I really can't wait to see you. That's it. That is all you need to say. And you don't want to engage any further in that discussion. So after you've made that statement, then, especially if it's the second time you've made it, then change the subject to something else. Steer the subject away from that. You don't want to get in a tug of war with your host and have them try to engage you. "Yeah, you should stay here." No, I can't have you staying elsewhere. No. You've stated your needs. It's a boundary. You stated what you need for you to be happy and to have an enjoyable time. That should be respected. And you said it in a very polite and courteous way. So don't get engaged in having a tug of war with them. You don't need to. That statement that I suggested suffices all on its own. Another tip regarding boundaries: keep physical boundaries with the person or persons who you feel is likely to trigger you. And you know who these people are, right? Probably have had these triggers for a long, long time. Keep physical space. Try not to sit next to them at the table or directly across from them at the table. When you're out and about in the living room, try to hang with other people. And if you do get engaged in conversation with them, just be prepared ahead of time. Keep the conversation light, superficial, and brief. Be respectful and pleasant to them, but then spend the majority of your time around people there that you do feel comfortable with, who do support you and accept you and encourage you to be you. Spend your time with those people. And when you're with those people, savor that time, because during that entire gathering, there are magical moments happening, and you want to look for them because they're all around you, and you can also create your own. So just know that you don't have to get cornered and stay there and be a target or a piñata for a particular person that tends to trigger you and bring up feelings of hurt. You don't need to, not anymore. And it's about time you establish these boundaries. And I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. Note to all of us on this YouTube presentation, we are not obligated to be around people who do not respect our boundaries or people who drain us emotionally, even if they are family. Okay? And if you haven't done so already, start to create your own chosen family. People who support you, who respect you, who add to your life, who really care. People who are unconditionally supportive and respectful. You know, sometimes what we learn as we grow older is that our idea of the word family and what that's supposed to mean might not have anything to do with blood. And that's okay, because we can always choose to find those people who do make us feel that way. And therefore, we have our chosen family. That's absolutely fine, necessary. Family, that word of what we all want family to be, has to do with respect and emotional support, a feeling of well-being and comfort when you're around that person. Okay, here are some other suggestions for when you are there at this gathering. Remember, it's really important to take breaks. You do not have to be on all the time. No, take breaks. Go outside and go for walks. I can't stress this enough. Put on your coat, go outside, go for walks, go play with their dog, go walk their dog if they have one. Put on your coat, go for a walk, move your arms and legs, look at the sky. Think about while you're walking, think about the things you're grateful for. It's a wonderful way to clear your mind. And there's no faster way to have an emotional change of state for the better than physical movement, cardio movement, moving your arms and legs, increasing your heart rate, breathing that wonderful winter air. Take advantage of that. Another tip, have a friend or your partner be a kind of buffer when you're around the people who may trigger you. You know, you can prepare that person in advance. Let them know who the person or persons are. And so they'll know, keep an eye out for you, that if you're out there talking and all of a sudden one of these people comes up and tries to engage with you or corner you or get too close, and you don't want that, you can have that person immediately, your buffer person, your friend, come up and stand right beside you and help redirect the conversation, help buffer things. It really can be a lovely help to know that they have your back and they're right there. Another thing, when you're going out for a walk, invite one of those persons in your family or relatives or friends or cousins or nieces or nephews who you like, who make you feel good, who you're comfortable with. Invite them to go on a walk with you. It's a wonderful way to create shared intimate memories that are really special. And that's what the holidays are all about. That's what these gatherings are about. Another thing, maybe after you've gone outside for a walk and done some head clearing, come back in and journal. Get a pad of paper. Take it in the bathroom if you can't find a private place. And do some journaling about how you're feeling. It's so helpful to move feelings, especially if they're hurtful or anxious feelings, out, putting them out on paper, releasing them, letting them go, seeing them, recognizing them, giving them voice. Another tip, breath work. Anytime, anywhere, or all the time during the visit. Wow, we are given this gift. There's nothing that so quickly, well, besides, and moving, of course, accesses and triggers right away our breath. So, but if you're not going out for a walk, you can be standing, sitting, no one even has to know, but just taking a deep breath in and blowing all your air out can be a wonderful head clearer, and it immediately will reduce your blood pressure and give your brain oxygen for more clear thinking. If you can do it with your eyes closed, that's even more powerful. But feel free to utilize breath work throughout the entire visit. I make sure I do it all the time now. It's worked so effectively for me. I do it even when I'm not stressed out. I do it just when I'm like waiting at a traffic light. I'll do it because it's just a wonderful sense of calm that comes over us. So utilize that. Don't forget you have that built in to use. Another tip, especially if you're not there with a friend or a spouse or a partner, remember, you can always phone or text a friend, and I highly recommend you do this. It really helped me on one of these hurtful family gatherings for me. I remember going into a room, shutting the door, and calling my partner, who couldn't be there at the time. But I'm telling you, just to hear the voice on the other end of the phone of someone who is your fan, who loves you unconditionally, who's there for you, it's a wonderful touchstone, and it can just really help be a lifesaver. And then you can just go out and resume the gathering. It can make a big difference. I also want to say here, this is something I'd like to recommend. If someone says something to you that is disrespectful or hurtful, notate it in your head, okay? And you have the choice, of course, later on, if you want to talk with them privately about how that made you feel, you can do that if you want. But here's the most important thing I want you to take away from that. If somebody says something to you that's disrespectful or hurtful, take a couple of deep breaths. Look at them and try to plant a smile on your face and very calmly say, "That's an interesting comment you just made to me." And then you change the subject to something you want to talk about, or you can excuse yourself and just talk to the person next to them, or go walk across the room to talk to somebody else. Here's what that does, and here's why this is so effective. What it says to the person who made the comment, the hurtful comment, is, "I just heard what you said to me, and it didn't feel good, and I need you to know that." And it also says, "And I am taking control, so now I'm going to choose what I want to talk about, something that's not hurtful. I'm going to change the subject, or I'm going to excuse myself and go talk to somebody else." Both of those things, that is a boundary setter, and it is perfect. And I'm telling you from firsthand experience, it works. And when I started doing this, and it only took a couple of times of doing this, it changed everything. It made these hurtful jabs at me become less and less. They happened less and less, and finally just stopped. Because you're setting a boundary and you're letting them know that if they're going to talk to you in that way, you're not going to spend time with them. Okay, so tried and true, real story from me. It really can make a difference. I think it's also important to do this because you don't want to do what you may have done all these decades and maybe still doing, and that is just sit there or stand there and take it and don't say anything. No, you don't have to be a person's emotional pinata, right? You don't have to be a dartboard. You don't have to be a doormat. Don't stand there or sit there and take it. No, do what I recommended because it makes a difference. You're establishing boundaries. And by that, you are saying, in essence, especially to yourself, I'm valuable. I'm worth more than that. And I'm not going to allow that to happen again. Yeah. And see how things can change for you in future family gatherings. Really helped me. Remember, you've got the power. You are not powerless. And remember what we established previously. We are not obligated to be around people who do not respect our boundaries or people who drain us emotionally, even if they are family. And last tip, I want you to remember, if things get too hurtful for you, you can always leave. Yeah, you can always leave. And this is when it's really helpful to have booked a room or a place in a B&B, because you can leave, right? Have a separate place to go to. But here's the thing. You can also, if you're there and you don't have a car, you don't have a separate place to stay, you can always leave the next morning if you drove there. You can always take an earlier flight out. And I got to tell you, I've done this. It only needed to happen one time, but I've done this and it changed everything. Again, it's establishing your boundary and it's giving them a message that they're not going to see you unless they can change their way of being with you and being supportive and kind to you. Okay, I want to end by saying, always remember the big picture. Find and focus on the things you have to be grateful for when you're at these visits. Think of these visits as an opportunity for self-growth. And I'm telling you, there is no better opportunity for self-growth and learning boundary establishment than family gatherings. It's amazing. And if you take some of these tips and implement them, even if it's just one or two, it can make a big difference. You can start to turn things around, and hopefully the next visit will go even better because of it. Remember that no matter what happens in this upcoming gathering, the sky's not going to fall. You're going to be safe. Enjoy those persons or events that do make you feel good. There are plenty of magical moments that are going to be there all around you. So look for them or create them. This time of year can be very special, regardless of whatever challenges may be coming up or may happen in a family gathering. It can still be a special time. And hopefully, these ideas and suggestions I've given you will help make it even better for you this year and in years to come. Before I open it up for questions and see if anybody is tuned in, I want to say some things. People ask me all the time, how can they connect with me? How can they find me? Here's a couple of 3 different ways to find me. That's very easy. Number 1, on YouTube, you can always type in Transform Your Life with Virginia Oman. And again, my last name is O-M-A-N. Transform Your Life with Virginia Oman, because I have monthly podcasts here and special events like this one. Okay? 2, another great way, go to Linktree, all one word, Linktree/Virginia Oman. That will bring up all stuff for me of all different categories. You can just click. And thirdly, you can always go to my website, which is virginiaoman.com. I also wanted to let you know, I've just released a series. It's a 6-part series, a masterclass, and it's a go at your own pace masterclass that took, it's a year and a half in the making, of proven steps that can really help transform your life. And the title of it is 6 Steps to a Happier Life. And the way, if you're interested in finding out about that, again, it's self-paced, go at your own pace. You have it for life. It includes illustrations, workbooks. There's all kinds of things. You can look through it before you decide if you want to try it. But the way to find it, the quickest way is just to go to my website, virginiaoman.com. And up at the top, the menu bar, look for the word programs, and underneath it, on the scroll down, you'll see it. Your path to a happier life. Okay? And you could click on it and learn more about it. All right? So, all right, that being said, I am going to see if anybody oh shit. Oh, there you are. See if anybody is here. I thought I lost you. What if someone I know? Okay. I don't know if anybody's on. Let me see. Top chat, live chat. Okay. Here's a question from someone. They say, thanks for giving this presentation. What if someone who I know happens to be a supporter of a particular presidential candidate and I am not, and they try to engage me in discussion? What's the best way to handle that? Great question. Great question. First of all, always know that it's best to leave politics and religion out of family gathering conversation, unless you're up for the dialogue and the tug of war, unless you have something you want to impart. But here's the thing, it's worthless to do that, because most of the time, what each side, and that includes you, is trying to do is convince the other person that their stance is the right one. And that's all they care about. They're not really interested in hearing about your beliefs or your side or why you came to feel that way about someone. So a lot of these are set up to be an argument, a tug of war. I say, don't engage. Don't even participate. You can just say, we all have our own truth. We all have our own opinions and preferences. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful to live in a country that allows for that. Then leave it. Change the subject. Nothing wrong with that. Diffuse. I hope that helped answer the question. Let's see, I'm not seeing any more chat. Does anyone have any questions that they want to put in the chat before we sign off? Thank you, Mark, for your question that you did ask. Anyone else have anything they want to ask? Okay. Great. Well, thanks for asking the question. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. I hope you found some things in this presentation that were helpful, that are helpful. Hopefully you'll notate them and have them with you, and maybe try one or two at this family gathering or at an upcoming family gathering. And I wish you a wonderful, peaceful, and enjoyable holiday season. Good night. See you next time.